So we've got various articles to share and talk about here, and some bits and pieces about the UK BIM Alliance as well. So first up, the Centre for Digital Built Britain has been busy creating what it has identified as 25 roles necessary for the adoption of the Information Management Framework and the National Digital Twin, and drawn them up as top Trump profiles. So having worked with the skills and competency framework they previously set up, they have defined roles in three categories. National ones, and we see an example of one of the top trump cards here, organisational roles and additional roles. I'm not sure if you're supposed to play the games or whether you look at the numbering to understand where the skills should be, but as it says, as they say, they've created 25 roles that they believe are necessary, and these are all available on the CDBB website. Next up, a news article that appeared back in March with an interview with this gentleman, Kamir Karu, who previously served as the Foreign Trade and Information Technology Minister in Estonia. And if you ever want to find a country that has actually embraced digital, then Estonia is the place to go and look. But it says here an interesting point that if you want information technology and to work properly, you can't have multiple digital accounts. That if you want that, you end up with competing interests, and then things will be held back. So whilst there are obviously data privacy issues, and we'll talk a little bit about cybersecurity during the digital news update as well, you do need to actually have these things working together in harmony rather than working against each other. Next, we now come to the BIM Interoperability Expert Group, the BIEG, another project for the Centre for Digital Built Britain and supported by the Construction Innovation Hub too. And they have produced this interactive PDF for the business benefits case for delivering digitally, for doing BIM. It's an easy interactive tool that you can use online, and it looks at different areas in terms of strategic management and delivery across 5 expert group work streams that exist within the BIEG. And it covers all the various functions and demands that you might need, and helps you to work out where you sit perhaps in terms of your adoption and what your next steps might need to be. So again, another one available via the CDBB website. Next, we have the Institution of Structural Engineers has produced a guidebook as an introduction to building information modelling. I have to say personally, I'm really pleased to see this. It is a really useful document, not just because it explains actually the opportunities and the challenges that BIM creates, but it also has produced their version of a digital plan of works now for structures. So this actually, as you'll see from the date in the top corner, was produced back in April last year, but possibly with not a lot of fanfare, because I only became aware of it probably in the last 3 to 6 months. But there is now a structural plan of works to complement the RABA's architectural digital plan of works document. I'd certainly thoroughly recommend it for whatever profession you are in, to understand of sort of what is needed when. It is a really useful document that's now being produced. Next, we go to Boston Dynamics. So I'm sure some of you will have seen some of their frankly amazing or possibly scary videos online, but Spot the robotic dog has now built the technology to follow humans. So using a collaboration with Piaggio Fast Forward business, they have worked out the way that you can tag a human being and a dog together, and the dog will then follow the human around the site. So there is no need for a controller, no need for gestures, for joysticks or anything like that. The dog will then follow its way around. Using this technology together with some Trimble positioning technology as well, they can now see that you have this effectively a platoon of technology, robots behind you, with Spot following behind, and then the 2 robotic drones behind that as well. So this is possibly what the site of the future will look like. You can take your dog to work. Okay, Global BIM Network. This was launched at a recent conference, and this is designed, as it says on the slide, with more than 2,000 public sector representatives and funders from over 100 countries. It has been supported in the UK by the Construction Innovation Hub and the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and certainly I think will sit as part of the UK's push to actually be able to use the skills and knowledge that the UK industry has developed in delivering BIM, doing things digitally, and sell those skills to the world. In addition to the notes that are on here, there is also, there is also a global BIM platform that's been set up as an open access online repository of public sector data and guidance. So again, more tools and resources at a global level to help people to understand, and organisations, particularly public sector ones, how to organise BIM and deliver it across their projects. David previously mentioned cybersecurity. And again, in the last few months, as I say, it's back in March, the CPNI, which is the Centre for Protection of National Infrastructure, so the part of government that relates to the security of physical assets, has published their updated guidance for cybersecurity. They previously wrote PAS 1192 Part 5, the security-minded BIM standard, and they were instrumental in the creation of ISO 19650 Part 5, the cybersecurity ISO standard. And I have to say that they produce really, really good documents. Dare I say it, because they're not construction professionals, they write it in good business language rather than technical speak. So I would thoroughly recommend going and visiting the CPNI website and looking at the suite of documents that they've now produced around a security-minded approach to digital engineering. And when you look at it in the context of recent surveys that have been done by this organisation, this was being done by their sister organisation, which deals with cybersecurity hacking issues, and I can't remember their name, apologies. It says there that 39% of businesses have suffered a cybersecurity attack, and then 26% of charities have suffered an attack as well. So it isn't something that happens to other people, it is happening, unfortunately, more and more. And again, the results of that survey worked out that for a small business, the cost of a cybersecurity attack is probably in excess of £8,000. For larger businesses, that could be in excess of 13,000. And you do hear in the news, unfortunately, quite regularly of these hacks or ransomware or whatever attacks going on. So it is something to be aware of. And there's some really good resources there to help you understand actually how to protect your business and your projects. Looking now at local authorities, and the Construction Innovation Hub has produced this document, as it says, a BIM Early Steps Roadmap and Toolkit for local authorities. These resources allow estate management experts to develop low-cost proof of concept trials to tailor to their own needs. So again, BIM isn't just one size fits all, working out what you need to do for your own organisation and how to move forward in a digital world. And it looks at how you can unlock the potential of for savings and efficiency gains, and looking at the wide range of challenges, not just in terms of managing an asset portfolio, but also responding to the COVID pandemic, and as it says on the slide, meeting carbon reduction targets too. So I'm sure not just relevant to local authorities, but a good document again for client side who are looking to understand where to go for information. This was an article in BIM Plus. David Philp was being interviewed in his role as Digital Impact Director at the Construction Innovation Hub. They had carried out a review of the various training providers and training courses that were available around the marketplace for delivering sort of BIM skills and competency. And what they found was that there was actually quite a few that still hadn't adopted ISO 19650 as the current standard for BIM delivery. So David was certainly asking that the courses were aligned, and particularly to use that use the ISO 19650 series and part as the UK BIM framework, particularly as we're coming out of COVID. His message was that of the 36 training providers that they found and listed, that less than half actually were still or had already started using ISO 19650. Next slide then, we have the first of a couple of BIM surveys that have come out. So the BIM Plus and Construction Manager magazine had published their recent BIM survey. They noted that there wasn't a huge increase in adoption of BIM, which possibly is due to the times that we have been through, but also possibly a bit of stagnation perhaps in the market. And again, interestingly, looking at some of the high-level data that they shared through BIM Plus, the fact that particularly with that right-hand pie chart, where 34% aren't really being asked for data to be handed over for the asset at handover, whereas we've got 15% definitely getting it very often and 9% quite often. So it still feels that we have a long way to go in the industry to move forward to actually get people to understand the whole of this data journey that we're now trying to work through. So having talked about a survey that's been published, we then move to a survey that has just been launched for asking for information. So the MBS, who has been doing BIM surveys, now calling it the Digital Construction Survey. This is going to be their 11th year for 2021, asking some new and different questions, and the survey link is available there, and we'll be sharing that after the event for people if they don't catch it through the recording as well. Moving up to Scotland now, and this was an article from Scottish Futures Trust about an organisation, as it says here, called Cyberselves, working with various partners, including University of Heriot-Watt in Edinburgh, looking at what they call teleexistence. So this is where you can use a robot to physically remove humans from dangerous situations, such as nuclear decommissioning, bomb disposal, or other type of activities where people don't really want to be there, but by putting the robot in that place and using the technology that's available, you can then get the robot to do those tasks for you. So certainly potentially opportunities within the construction industry, again, for robotics that are practical ways of keeping people safe while still continuing to carry out the work that's needed. Next, we have Highways England have published their digital delivery plan. This talks in 3 key areas of transforming services, enabling people and improving delivery. Whilst perhaps sustainability and Highways England might not necessarily be immediate bedfellows in the context of this afternoon's conference, this has come about since they published their Sustainable Development Strategy report way back in 2018. And whilst you probably won't be able to read that, it does have as the final bullet on the right-hand column notice of manufactured and ensuring efficiencies and value for money by a manufactured approach. And certainly Highways England have been very much ones looking at platform design, standardization, digital delivery of their assets and their designs within their business. Back to local authorities again, and another Construction Innovation Hub report. There has been, as ever, lots of reports published in the last quarter. This is now a best practice guidance document around soft landings, so linking through to the golden thread. And this interactive document provides an interactive navigator tool to guide and ask, as it says, key questions on how the asset will be used, so that the right questions are asked at the design and construction stages of a project. But equally, it can be used as well, the report, to help between design and construction, rather than just at the handover stage into the operations phase. So again, lots of opportunities there for people to understand the right questions that they need to ask and tailor those to the needs of their own project. And finally, for my digital update, before we go into UK BIM Alliance update, the CLC has published, or is going to soft launch, I should say, the Construct Zero strategy on the 17th of June. So as it says on the slide, this is a response to the government's Green Industrial Revolution plan. It understands the CLC. They say that many parts of the industry are grappling with this challenge, trying to understand how to deal with it. And so they're looking to help across the industry to provide support and how the changes need to be addressed and the changes that need to be made. There is this overview document that is already available online from the CLC, Construction Leadership Council's website. And as I say, there will be a more formal soft launch in June before the final main launch will happen during the COP26 conference in November this year. Okay, so we've mentioned the UK BIM Alliance already a couple of times this afternoon in terms of activities, and there's a few highlight slides here to explain a bit more about what's happening in there. I put this slide together for a presentation I was asked to do to the FIS, the Federation of Interior Specialists, and it's actually quite powerful when you look at the numbers now within the Alliance. And I know Pam is on the line, that she will tell me which ones are wrong, because I know that we have got more in some of these groups already. But as we can see, there are 36 patrons, 18 affiliates, so that's trade associations and professional institutions. We have 14 BIM4 community groups and 10 BIM4 regions. We've got 15 ambassadors, 26 supporters, and the technology group in April was 25, and I think possibly is up to 27. So some real sort of strength and depth now within the Alliance. And the areas I'd like to talk about a little bit more now are some updates on the implementation team, positioning papers that the Alliance is in the process of drafting and publishing, the State of the Nation survey that the Alliance has published, and the events that are upcoming for the Alliance. So implementation, this is the home of the team that check, author, and then manage the whole of the UK BIM framework guidance that's been published to date. But in addition to this, they have 8 other active projects. And amongst these, they are looking at adopting a security-minded approach to BIM, so picking up on the CP&I documentation, and also using models and their data for cost planning, so what the world calls 5D BIM. In terms of upcoming projects, there is more high-level guidance about to be published around the new level of information need ISO standard. Again, if you were watching that, there was a presentation around this from Marzia last night through the BIM for Legal group. And also industry roles and responsibilities, looking at practical implementation of ISO 19650. So project work that's going on. But the implementation team are always interested to hear of new project ideas. And if there are things that you think the Alliance should be looking at or covering, then the email address at the bottom of the screen here for implementation@ukbimalliance.org is the place to send your ideas to. So, position statements. The first position statement that the UK BIM Alliance is due to publish shortly is on BIM and digital twins. And as it says on the slide, it will look at some of the context, what's BIM, what's a digital twin, and where does one stop and the other begin. So again, just trying to sort of make that entry-level starting point for the industry to understand about some of these terms. Perhaps even for some parts of the industry to go, oh, right, fine, I know what a digital twin is. I don't need to worry about it for 5, 10, 15 years. Or others to say, right, OK, we need to get on board with this. And this is the first of several that have already been considered. So the suggestion is that there will be further reports, position statements on product data, the golden thread and net zero. And again, if there are other position statements that we feel are important, or you feel are important, that the Alliance should be talking about, then please get in touch via the email address there, so engagement@ukbimalliance.org. Again, earlier this year, the UK BIM Alliance published a survey which had over 1,170 respondents, so a pretty good number by survey standards in the industry. And again, here are some of the headlines from it that, again, as we would perhaps expect with these sorts of surveys, people that know about the survey also know about BIM. So we had 65% of respondents saying that they were currently implementing it. Various trades and professions that are indicated on here as well. Interestingly, that perhaps cultural and behavioural change is still seen as the barrier, but lots of other really interesting and useful data. This is all being collated together at the moment and will be published as a separate report by the Alliance in due course. So my final slide, and a heads up warning to my technology panel that they're going to be coming online soon, is that we had, in fact we've mentioned it already, an infrastructure virtual conference yesterday, which was really interesting and very good presentations and speakers throughout. That will be subsequently posted on the UK BIM Alliance YouTube channel if you want to catch up on the recording of that. And then in terms of upcoming future events, the UK BIM Alliance East region is holding an open BIM case study session on the 17th of June. And on the 29th of June is the next Building Smart UK and Ireland Assemble event, followed in the afternoon on the 29th of June by the next UK BIM Alliance Forum. My very last slide then for UK BIM Alliance events. This is a heads up for UK Construction Week in October, which will be happening as a face-to-face event in Birmingham at the NEC, if we all remember what that means and how to do face-to-face. But this one, on the 6th of October, the middle day, the Wednesday, we are going to have a manufactured themed focus for everything that we are doing, hosting on the digital stage. At the moment, therefore, we are inviting UK BIM Alliance community groups to submit manufacturing focused case studies to be submitted and potentially presented at UK Construction Week. So if there are members of various UK BIM Alliance community groups on the call, there are a few spaces available, and we would like to see your synopsis produced by the 2nd of June. And again, you can publish that onto the link on the forms there, which has also been shared out with the groups as well. Okay, that's it for the digital update.